The name's Camera, Mr. Camera. It's obscure Batman villain time. Batman has a whole host of gimmick villains. And while some have stood the test of time and gone on to become iconic, others have been more flash in the pan, or vanished. This can be into the realm of characters reserved for deep lore cuts, or brought back with edgy updates, sometimes both. Mr. Camera, currently time of recording, falls more into the deep cut variety. He appeared a grand total of once at the very beginning of the Silver Age in Batman 81 in 1954. He appeared in the story The Boy Wonder Confesses, which was written by David Byrne Reed, with pencils by Sheldon Moldoff, and inks by Stan Kay. And you know, there's a lot about Mr. Camera that still works. I'm Sasha, this is Casually Comics, and let's take a look at Mr. Camera, the past, the present, and the potential future. Now there's more of this issue than Mr. Camera. Batman 81 has one of the iconic Two-Face stories. It's been reprinted in multiple volumes and was even used as inspiration in the acclaimed Almost Got Him episode of Batman TAS. And while that is the standout story of this issue, The Boy Wonder Confesses is not without its own moments. I posted the teaser page for this in the community tab, and what many remarked on was A, the man with a camera for a head, and B, the fact that the way Bruce is drawn, it looks like he too is shocked to learn that he is Batman. The story opens on some classroom teasing of Dick, which appears like it might be unimportant but is actually pivotal. It's based around the idea that Dick has a crush on a girl named Marcia, but that she likes Robin. And then Dick shows up and confesses to the class that he is Robin. Le gasp. Oh, it's just a gag. If he was Robin, he wouldn't admit it. Big joke. Ha! He's just doing it to impress Marcia. Come off it, Grayson. You're no more Robin than I am. You don't believe me? Alright, I'll prove it. See? My Robin uniform under my clothes. I'll slip on my mask and then go outside and show you stunts only Robin could perform. Wow, this is getting more interesting all the time. And he goes out and does just that. There's even an accident that happens below as he's outside so he can show off and save some people from a car crash. And he has classmates who are more than willing to sell him out. Say, I'm calling the newspapers. They will pay me $5 for this scoop. I know it's 1954, but it feels like this is worth a bit more than $5. With inflation, that only comes to $58. Robin's identity is worth more than that, I think. Now with this knowledge, the press infers that then Bruce Wayne must be Batman. En masse, the Newshawks race to the Wayne mansion. Then, as they confront Bruce,
"Gentlemen, I've been confronted with this so many times. I found the safest answer is no comment."
Now you may be wondering, where's Mr. Camera? Well, for that, the comic asks us to cast back a year inside of the comic's time, not actual outside meta-narrative time. And it presents a world where in this year, inside the story, they were clashing with Mr. Camera on the regular. Mr. Camera was so named because of the curious camera lens helmet he wore, and because he employed all sorts of photographic devices in his criminal raids.
Strobe lights brighter than flashbulbs and continuous with our special tinted glasses. My men and I can see. We'll loot this place before these startled fools can recover from the surprise attack.
Mr. Camera is one of those villains who's just really enjoying himself and his theme. He's laughing all the time, but not maniacally, just in an I'm living my best life kind of way. Strobe lights, which is very impressive because I have a hard time believing that that helmet is comfortable. It looks quite heavy and cumbersome. All of this comes to a head the night Mr. Camera is lured out, well, not lured, he's drawn to a film shot with a special 3D camera. 3D's gone through waves. The earliest confirmed 3D film is from 1922. It was called The Power of Love. It has since been lost to time. 3D actually has a really fascinating history that I don't have time to do justice here. The components predate film, and this theme would actually have been very topical at the time for a villain, because the golden era of 3D has now come to be known as the years 1952 to 1954. That being when the technology really starts to take off again. There's an attempt, but it loses out to CinemaScope, but it proves too cumbersome and expensive to maintain. But this would have been something that would have been talked about in pop culture at the time. There would have been films coming out in 3D. So Mr. Camera, he's relevant. Mr. Camera shows up to grab the camera, but realizes he may get something even better.
"Mr. Camera, look out! Batman and Robin, they came in from the alley." "The alley? Oh, this may be my lucky day."
Mr. Camera even ditches the 3D camera he's trying to steal to grab whatever he had in the alley, because it's just that important. The dynamic duo find out what it is when they track him down to his very cool lair. He was gonna add that camera to his collection, it looks like. Maybe he's just misunderstood. No, he's not. He gets captured, but reveals that he may still have the upper hand.
"I'd like to record some of my crimes on film, Batman. Tonight, I had my camera set up in that alley to film my escape. The camera was running while you were in that alley, Batman. If you changed your identity there, it's all on film."
Good grief, Batman. Did you hear that? It's a genuine question. I'm not sure how clear it is through that helmet. That aside, that character detail of him filming himself, put a pin in it, a big pin.
"Ah, the boy gave it away. You did change in the alley. That means I've got a picture of you, the real you. I've learned the secret of the Batman identity." "Maybe, but not yet. The film must be developed.
and Robin and I will turn this place inside out to find it before it can be developed.
Oh no, I hid the film en route to this hideout, where you'll never find it. Yes, I'll go to prison, Batman, but you won't sleep one night. Hanging over you will be the realization that one day I'll expose your secret and end your career.
A search of the hideout proved fruitless. Mr. Camera wasn't lying. He went to jail soon after, but his mocking taunts still rang in Batman's ear.
So long, Batman. You'll be hearing from me again. Pleasant dreams.
The Fiend! We've got to find that film. The way that Mr. Camera's face is drawn through the lens is genuinely a little unsettling. And that detailing of it being cracked like that, adding to the distortion, this is a pretty cool look. And you could do a lot with this. Mr. Camera has a lot of update potential. Mr. Camera holds true to his word. 9 months later, he writes them a letter with some great penmanship saying that he has a friend who's getting out and he's gonna tell him where the film is. And then you know what's gonna happen. He even puts chump in the letter. So Bruce and Dick decide they have to be proactive. They want to do something timed for the month when this guy gets out, whoever it is. They have to pull one of those stunts where Bruce and Batman appear in the same place at the same time. They want Alfred to be a double. That's what they usually do in these situations. But when they bring it up to him, he says he already has plans for a month from then. Don't you remember, sir? I won't be here. Next month I had that special FBI assignment.
Gosh, I'd completely forgotten I volunteered your services to the bureau chief.
Come on, Bruce. Add Alfred's undercover assignments to the Bat calendar. Now, because of this, they decide they're gonna pull the same plan, but just sooner. They're gonna do it a month earlier. The plan: have Dick confess to being Robin, which casts suspicion on Bruce, and then they can disprove it. Hence throwing Dick's reputation into the dirt as a lying attention seeker looking for clout so a girl would date him. But Dick is willing to take that hit for the team. See, that's why they had to establish the whole Marcia thing. Bruce organizes a meetup between him, Batman, and the reporters. But their plans are further disrupted when Alfred slips in the snow and fractures his leg. So that means it's time to get ridiculously convoluted. Here we go. Here's how it goes down. Bruce is on the ground, Robin is on one rooftop, and the Batplane and Batman, in quotes, is on the other. Batman and Bruce yell at each other using megaphones. Then Batman gets in the plane and flies off. The reporters say, direct quote, "Seems legit, but how did they do it?" Now the plane is fairly easy to explain. Robin was flying it via remote control. But what about the two Batmen?
I made a snow Batman, Robin, with one of these self-timing thermite pills inside. When the pill exploded, its intense heat melted the snowman almost at once. It also consumed the special self-disintegrating uniform.
And you used ventriloquism, of course. But what about that melted spot that was left? Didn't that worry you?
Nope. I chose a spot right above steam pipes. That could have been my excuse. Oh, and the footprints? I made them when I made the snowman. Then I walked away, dragging a snow shovel after me, which covered up all other prints.
This seems like a lot of effort. There had to have been some other plan. But the best is yet to come. Mr. Camera's film was underexposed. They couldn't see anything anyway. Dick ruined his reputation at that school forever. For nothing. But they're not gonna forget because the newspaper runs a story and it's about how it was a hoax. Kid hoax revealed. Dick Grayson's masquerade as Robin seen his effort to impress teenage sweetheart. Robin admits to participation in the hoax, claims Dick asked him to as a favor. It was the real Robin performing stunts outside the school. Once again, Bruce Wayne proves conclusively he is not Batman. Oh man, Mr. Camera really got in their heads. And all because of his true passion, filming things. Specifically his crimes, which as an interest translates incredibly well to time of recording. The look is a bit of a lot, but you could also still have fun with it, either by keeping it as is, which could still land if you streamlined it a little bit, or you could update it a bit with a more sleek, modern looking camera. Because think of the potential. Webcams, drones, there are so many more cameras all over the place. Phones, a villain who's obsessed with cameras, photography, filming themselves, collecting footage. And if you keep that same attitude a bit of him doing it for fun, for the lulz, but also being willing to blackmail when he gets an opportunity, there's that little hint of manipulation too, so you have a lot of angles you can go down. It's very easy to see Mr. Camera as a joke. The look goes a long way in that. But there's potential for a still fun but also credible concept here. Okay, hear me out. Punchline Mr. Camera team up when. You could have a whole arc here about how this camera and footage collecting slowly becomes an obsession, culminating in him becoming fascinated with filming himself. Maybe there could be some kind of dissociation that forms. And then there could also be the potential for all that blackmail, collecting footage that could then be used later on. He could also be the kind of villain who keeps the info to himself for the most part, because he just likes to make people sweat because it amuses him. Punchline knows who a bunch of people are already too, which is part of why that team up popped into my head. Plus the nihilistic tech angle. It's not fully formed, but there's just kernels. We're just throwing ideas out there that there's potential ideas. Maybe you have completely different ideas. I'm actually really excited about this, but that's not how he reappeared when he did, because he did pop up. He's been largely a background villain in the animated series Batman the Brave and the Bold, appearing in the episodes A Bat Divided, Joker the Violent and the Villainous, and the series finale Mightfall, as well as the Batman Brave and the Bold Scooby-Doo crossover film years later. Now, in the Batman Brave and the Bold universe, if you dive into the tie-in comics, they flesh out the character, and the direction they go in is different, a bit different than the one that's hinted at in the Silver Age. They take it in a more traditional, obsessed with camera photography direction, voyeurism, but a specific type of voyeurism. You know where we're going. In Batman Brave and the Bold issue 14 from 2010, in the story Captured by Mr. Camera, he's still all about the camera theme, but his motivation is shifted to creepy stalker. He's given a name here, Harry Sims, and his camera helmet now has the function of being able to send footage to him from various captured sources. So he can also tap into security cameras and the like, webcams, other things, which is also a fascinating concept that you could do a lot with. But here his focus is on the Huntress. He's obsessed with her. This issue was written by Landry Hugh Walker with art by Eric Jones. It's a Batman and Huntress team up in the main story, and it continues that slightly uncomfortable if you're familiar with Bronze Age Helena energy of romantic interest. At least one way, but they also try and pull it back a bit this issue.
Opening shot, the heroine is blinded by the dazzling appearance of Mr. Camera.
Now, at first, Batman thinks that Mr. Camera is just another gimmick villain who's kind of wasting his time a little bit. It's not until he investigates further that he learns about his Huntress obsession. The one thing about this issue is it claims that his obsession was never truly cameras, but that was a ruse to mask his true obsession, the Huntress. Which, while potentially more plausible as motivation, is also less interesting, because that's the route one tends to go down with these camera-obsessed stories. So it's a bit more of a standard direction, and a bit less fun than you could have with the concept. In my opinion, miles may vary. Mr. Camera hypnotizes her with a hypno flash that he built, so there must be some genuine interest in there. You can be obsessed with two things, Batman.
I've been watching you. That's the real power of my camera helmet. Any camera, anywhere, I can see through them, and that's how I found you. The Huntress, Helena, alone like me. A life empty of love. But it doesn't have to be that way. We can be as perfect as a picture, together, forever. Huntress, will you do me the honor of accepting my hand and—
A marriage proposal? This isn't the actual Silver Age. Batman busts in and breaks his camera, and Mr. Camera ends up overloading himself. He presses it, all the tech goes into his head, he can see everything, and he ends up catatonic, but not really. The tone of the comic is different than the series, and not for the better. It doesn't entirely match either the overall vintage Silver Age, but also updated tone, or all the cleverness that the series had.
Are you okay?
Yeah, he was creepy, but I'll get over it. Just some light stalking, I'll get over it. This issue ends with the same Batman Beyond Gollum ending, which they had for Willie, in that Mr. Camera, having absorbed the ability to see through cameras, now it's just part of him, or it might be. He's still wearing the helmet in Arkham. That was nice of them. But he may know Bruce's identity. But that's all for that continuity, because now we're gonna hop over to the Scooby-Doo continuity. As mentioned, he featured in that Scooby-Doo Batman Brave and the Bold crossover, and he also features in some of the comics. This starts with Scooby-Doo Team Up 50, Crisis of Infinite Scoobies from 2019. This story arc was actually the last for the series, and it starts off making it sound like Robin is making fun of Batman. No wonder people call you the world's greatest detective, Batman. Who'd have guessed that the villain taking control of all of Gotham's security cameras was Mr. Camera? Robin's still not over Batman ruining his reputation like that. His social life is still in shambles. Mr. Camera is unmasked here, and it's not what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that. Are his actual eyes lenses? He's just kind of there in this issue as the crisis of multiple realities goes down. He has some camera-related puns about photography, and they use his helmet at the end to take a group photo, which he is not in. No captured villains in the photo. The next time he appears in Scooby-Doo is The Batman and Scooby-Doo Mysteries number 12 in 2022, in the story Too Many Crooks, where he is at a villain convention.
And that's why they call me Mr. Camera. So why do they call you the Gorilla Boss?
Hey there, Poison Ivy. What's your sign? Stop being creepy, Zodiac Master. Mr. Camera doesn't really do too much in this issue, but help fill out the crowd, which has many an obscure villain. So it's just kind of nice to see him there. He also appears in Batman 66, number 73 from 2015. Again as a cameo. He's at a crime convention, with the explanation being that he handled the security cameras. So it's a recurring idea that he should be involved with some kind of security. If he popped up in Lego somewhere, let me know. It's entirely probable. Lego is always having all the cameos. Now in the main comic universe, you get some brief Mr. Camera moments, either as a joke or in the background. He appears in a few panels and even has some lines in the joke issue Harley Quinn's Villain of the Year number 1 by Mark Russell, with the idea that the villains were determined via fan vote. It was an award show for villains hosted by Harley Quinn. The Batman Who Laughs walked away with the top award. This was 2019. Never forget that there was a time when The Batman Who Laughs, people were really hyped about it. The cover date is February 2020. Ignore that. Mr. Camera is the one who escorts Mr. Flamingo, who has been tricked into thinking he's won to the back to be captured under the guise of taking photos. So it's just an easy joke that works on both a narrative and visual level. You can also see him in the background as one of the guests in the anthology book DC Loves a Battlefield. Pat Benatar references away. This was the 2021 Valentine's Day special, and he's in the background of the first story by Christos Gage, Batman and Catwoman, perfect matches. And time of recording, that's where we are with Mr. Camera. Unless he snuck into the background of some other mainline issues. If so, let me know. Or maybe it's the future and he's having a full arc. Maybe it's cool. I hope so. Because of all the characters who could potentially pop back up, I think there's a lot you could do with Mr. Camera. And he could work for any generation of hero, which is great. He also wouldn't need to be confined to the Bat universe if he didn't want to, although the gimmickiness does help him fit in there. You could also go with the Flash, especially if he doesn't want to hurt people. He could join the Rogues. As mentioned, there are so many ways you could go. You could play with the classic idea that the camera captures the images of your true self. And maybe that's why he's so obsessed with filming himself. Maybe he thinks that's the only time he sees his true self. Maybe he thinks his true self is Mr. Camera. I'm just going out there with some ideas. There are so many ways you could go. I have a whole idea in my mind of this scene where he's injured, and even though he's badly hurt and he needs to try and do something about it, he's also obsessed with filming it to make sure he can watch back later to see the true images. I got all this from him saying that he enjoyed filming his crimes. Oh gosh, am I making an edgy update? I am, aren't I? Oh no, I've lived long enough to see myself become the villain. You could also go with the more classic blackmail angle too. That could also be interesting, but let me put it out to you. What do you think of Mr. Camera? Fun villain, but best left in the past? Maybe just brought for some references, as they have been doing. Or do you think there is potential? And if so, what would you do with Mr. Camera? Would you have him team up with Punchline? Someone else? What are your thoughts? I want to hear them. Please put them down below. And while you're down there, please do all the YouTube things like share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking some time to spend discussing comics with me. I always appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Should we do Zodiac Master next? Well, let me know. Okay, see you again soon. Bye-bye.